Rob Dalton and Nicole Ledoux are not a typical newlywed couple. That's because, in addition to being husband and wife, they're the co-founders of 88 Acres, a growing hypoallergenic and organic snack food company that they started quite literally from scratch.
So I started making him granola bars in our kitchen, and we would pack them in our bags, and our friends would steal bites, and then they would be asking for them and sharing them with their friends, and pretty soon we knew that we were onto something.
What was special about Nicole's bars wasn't just the taste. It was the fact that they were totally non-allergenic, a necessity because of Rob's extremely serious nut allergy.
On our fourth date a couple of years ago, we were out to dinner in Boston. My meal was contaminated with a nut product, and I ended up in the hospital.
The frightening experience inspired the couple to research food allergies in the U.S., a growing issue they found was not seriously addressed by most of the food industry.
I think the best businesses are started out of necessity. This is a real life issue that we're facing and trying to solve. And so if we were struggling to find healthy, delicious foods for Rob and for Rob to consume safely and for me to want to eat, then there must have been, potentially millions of other families out there who are kind of going through the same thing.
With MBAs from Babson and Harvard, it didn't take long for Rob and Nicole to get to work, winning awards and funding for their company from startup supporters like Babson and Northeastern, and fine-tuning their recipes.
I think what's appealing to me about entrepreneurship is it allows you to look at things, with a much more unique eye. So you're looking at personal situations that you're in and finding issues. And capturing as many resources that are at your disposal to help solve that issue.
Today, Rob and Nicole are working in Boston at Venture Accelerator Mass Challenge, preparing for 88 Acres' official launch this fall. Despite the rush to finalize everything from marketing to manufacturing, the pair has not lost track of their mission to provide for families affected by food allergies.
When we hear people's stories about how they've been dealing with their own family members' food allergies, and when people come up and thank us for doing this, it's unbelievable. It's like the reason why, other than solving our own problem, it's the reason why we're doing this.
Sound appetizing? 88 Acres products will be in stores later this year. Though in many ways it's miraculous that the building is still standing at all, the exterior of St. James the Great Church is beginning to show signs of its ownership's disregard. Inside, though the sun still streams through the beautiful stained-glass windows, signs of the decade-long struggle the church has housed are even more apparent. For Suzanne Hurley, spokesperson for the parishioners during the vigil, the church is still precious, though it has been nearly a year since she sat in these pews. Sitting down for what will likely be the last interview she gives regarding St. James, Suzanne reflects on what her church and the struggle to save it has meant to her.
So we always sat over here, same exact pew, same exact place. And when we had our lay-led services here after the vigil began, my father-in-law, it didn't matter how many people were in this church, it was the same pew next to the same aisle, always, never on another side of the church. But it was hard for my husband, and we were married here, both our children were baptized here. And I remember about 6 months after we started vigil, four of us were sleeping in the choir loft, and my husband got up and he was looking over at the church and he said, I'm done. I'm done with them. They can have it. And I was surprised because he was vehement about this is who we were, this is what we did, this is how our children were to be raised. And he said, I always thought I brought Rachel down this aisle. It's not just St. James per se. I think what's important to note is the reason we went into vigiling, one was to save our church. But I think for me, more importantly, it was to have a voice in my faith. We were closed for the wrong reasons.
In 2004, struggling to pay for numerous sexual abuse lawsuits, the Catholic Church closed St. James with plans to sell it. To parishioners like Suzanne Hurley, this was unacceptable.
I think at first there was a lot of disbelief. I remember when the FedEx packages came and we got the notices. It was very difficult. And I don't think we believed at the time there were options available to us. If it happened, it happened. But it was happening widespread. And people started to say, it's just not acceptable. And the Council of Parishes was started, and they came to see us and asked if we would be willing or wanted to start a vigil. And a group of us met and talked, and we decided, what did we have to lose to go to Rome and say, this isn't right? If I'd known it was going to go on 9 years, would I do it all over again without hesitation? I wouldn't for 1 minute regret what we did as a community.
Today, the vigil is over. The town of Wellesley, in anticipation of acquiring the new property, has already begun formulating plans to develop it. Meanwhile, St. James's final appeal stands before the Vatican. All that's left to do is wait.
If we are denied, and the purchase and sale goes through, and the wrecking ball comes, I won't stand out there and stop it. I'll be heartbroken, saddened to see St. James go, but we certainly aren't going to take some form of action after saying we would do everything allowed to us to then do something that's just wrong, and it's not fair to the town if that is what happens.